Hi there. In today's video, I want to discuss some about homeschooling on a budget and how we can do it, as well as bring you along for part of our homeschooling morning. If you're new here, my name is Melinda, and my husband and I and our family live in Costa Rica. We have 4 young children, ages 7 and under, and I love being a wife and mom, though I admit that it's sometimes quite hard, and I like to share the things that I've learned with others. In today's video, you'll be seeing part of our homeschool morning. While homeschooling can happen anytime and anywhere and throughout the whole day, for what we do for bookwork, I like to dedicate a certain amount of time to it. And about 2 hours per day, if I can, manage to work it out. Recently, our family found out that it worked out for us better if we moved our homeschool bookwork, because it can happen outside the books too, but the bookwork out of the house. Our house is small, and I was struggling with dedicating time to my children while seeing the housework still around me piled up and needing to be doing it. So our church building stands empty most of the week, and we asked everyone else if it was okay if we used one little corner for our school stuff. And so we have been going down. It's 1 kilometer down the road. We go down, the children and I, about 2 hours per day. So that's why what you'll be seeing here, those 2 hours per day, when we'll be doing what is more the formal sit-down study. And so while I share about that, I'll also be telling you some about how we homeschool on a budget, how you can homeschool on a budget. Because I don't believe homeschooling is for everyone, nor does everyone need to homeschool. But if what is holding you back is the cost of it, I believe there are ways that we can work around it. That homeschooling does not need to be expensive at all. When we start off our days, once we get there, I usually start with what I've always called circle time, and learning verses, reading a Bible story, memorizing verses, practicing singing, and all that sort of stuff. You'll see me working on teaching them how to recite or speak or sing with standing straight, with expressions, with different things like that. So some of my expressions, if that's what you see, that's what it is. And after that, then the children can go and play whenever they want. The other ones, and I start working with my oldest one especially, and with my second one some too, in schoolwork. So one thing about homeschooling on a budget is that you don't need all the things. In this modern days where we get to see many homeschooling accounts on Instagram or YouTube or blogs or whatever, and I'll admit that I'm one of them, but we never need to feel like we need all the things, all the nice looking rooms, all the nice materials, props, whatever all you want to call it. We don't need it all for real, even if we think we do. We can homeschool with what we have. With our children learn a lot with just what we have. So remember, when you're tempted to think that you don't have enough, you do. I mean, you might want to or need to buy some curriculum and some stuff, but you don't need a dedicated schoolroom in your house that is fully equipped for everything. We can do it much simpler. Another way to homeschool on a budget is to get used supplies. Now here in Costa Rica, there's very few homeschoolers yet, and even less that studying English. And getting used books doesn't happen that easy, but we have the blessing of having one or two families that are finishing up their homeschooling while we're starting out and using many curriculums of the similar curriculums like I like and am interested in. And they are sending us many of the teacher's manuals and things like that that have been a big blessing to us. And maybe wherever you are, you can find things that you could use too, that would be much cheaper. Used supplies, maybe there's grad sales, maybe, yeah, like maybe you have some older homeschool family who could pass on some stuff to you either at a very reasonable cost or for free. That is one of the ways to do it. We don't need everything new and looking just right in order to have a happy homeschool and in order to be able to homeschool well. It's okay if stuff is used. Another thing I say is use reusable curriculum. Nowadays in the homeschool world, this thing about unschooling is very gaining a lot of force, not using any textbooks and things like that. But that isn't my style. In some ways it is for some subjects, but for the basic core subjects, I like having a set curriculum or a set something to go by. And so I like to use things, and if you use things like textbooks, that helps with cutting down on the cost because you get them once and you have them for everyone. So that will happen for me more in the older grades than now, but I'm keeping that in mind, that a lot of things that I get, I hope to be able to use again, not just these books that get used once and then they're done. Of course, I have some of those too because some subjects, especially for the younger grades, simply work better that way, but not all of them. So here you can see our little schoolroom set up, school corner, and we have all our stuff there. We scatter out over the building. It's not very big whenever we need and for whatever we need. So while I'm starting with my oldest one, after we have the circle time, the younger ones can go play outside. There's a trampoline, there's swings, there's whatever, a nice area to play with. So that has all been a huge blessing to have that too. And then once I've worked enough with the older one, I sometimes do with the second one, and maybe even with the younger ones, I do some practice flashcards or counting or just simple things so that they can enjoy too, doing some schoolwork. Another tip for homeschooling on a budget would be to use free homeschool curriculum and online resources. Now, I do like to use books for a lot of stuff, for the main subjects. So I know of complete free homeschool online curriculums, but I don't care to use them, even if they might be good, because I simply don't like the idea of being on the computer so much. And many of them require a printer some of the time, which we don't have. So yeah, the basic subjects I for sure like to do with pencil and paper. But there's some, you can check them out. You can check out the article on this linked in the description below. But there are different ones like Easy Peasy Homeschool or Under the Home that are free curriculums. Easy Peasy is all the way through 12th grade and Under the Home is just till 5th grade. But they have the subjects free, complete, online. And I'm sure there's other learning resources like Khan Academy. I haven't used it very much, but I know that it has a lot of good learning subjects. I do use some free online curriculum like our piano lessons. You can find them linked below. And our music appreciation, art, that kind of stuff. I get my inspiration from online for free, but find out what works for you. Don't forget to use your local library and different places like that. You can find lots of free learning resources wherever we are. Some people know how to put their whole homeschool curriculum together just with free resources. I haven't found that to be my style, but a lot of things, yes. So maybe you can find what works for you. Maybe some of these ideas would work for you. And one more thing I'd like to mention is make any curriculum for you. I sometimes hear about these people who use several different curriculums in a year because none of them work. And well, I think always, well, if you'd stuck with it, it might have worked. I don't know how they can afford it, but different people can. But usually, most curriculums, yes, sometimes it just might not work, and sometimes we might need to change from one year to the next. But most curriculums, you can make them work for you because curriculums are a guide. They're not a law book. If they don't teach enough about something, you can add more, supplement with something else. If they teach too much and it's boring for your child and they know it well, you can cross out sections. I do that with the math book for my first grader because a lot of it she knows very well and it gets boring and long, so I just cross out sections that are too long. So see what you can make work for you that'll help you to not spend so much on getting stuff. I would not suggest buying several years of curriculum at once because you might find that something doesn't work for you, and so then it's a good idea to look for a change. But if you already have your stuff, maybe you can make it work for the year, especially if it's not in your budget to change. You'll be seeing here that I get lots of interruptions with my little ones. We're sick these days. Baby had a cough and a cold and he was just kind of grumpy. But we make it work and do the best we can for the 2 hours that we are at what we call our school. And then we go home and spend the rest of the day learning and working from real life, which is best anyways. Remember to use what you have. You don't need all the latest stuff, all these latest special educational toys. Counting, yes, there's counting games, but you can count with anything you have at home. And you can make it work. Hope this has been encouragement for you in that area. With little children, yes, none of this, my homeschool doesn't maybe look like the ideal. In many ways we take longer getting done than others might at this stage of life. That's okay, we do the best we can and we learn a lot out of our school books too, in real life with the books I read. Be sure to check out my blog or this channel for more homeschooling information so that you can be encouraged to homeschool with what you have and that you don't need a lot. We can learn to be content with what we have, even if it's on a tight budget. There may be reasons not to homeschool. I'm not saying, like I mentioned before, homeschooling is for everyone. But don't let your tight budget be the reason you don't homeschool. Because your children can learn just with what you have on hand already and with resources that you can get that don't cost a lot. Once we're done with our school day, with those 2 hours, then I clean up everything, leave it all cleaned up for the next day. If we don't get done as much as I wish we would have, we just leave it for the next day. If we get more done than I'd hoped, it's perfect. That's how it works best for us at this stage. Once our children will all be older, it will be easier to add more structure yet. But for now, this works just fine. Thank you for joining me today and seeing how we do school in our little schoolroom. And let me know below too how you do school and also what your best tips are for homeschooling on a budget. Maybe there's something I haven't thought about, or maybe there's different opportunities in different parts of the world that it could be I haven't thought of. But I know that we can all make it work if that is what we need to do. I hope you have a wonderful homeschooling day or the rest of your year. And we'll see you in the next video.